Do you want to be on camera? Do you want to be on camera? All right, so today we are kicking off in this beautiful new construction home built by Northway Homes. If you want to take a look at it, we'll have some videos, we'll have a bunch of information in the description below. But what we're gonna go through in this video today is if you're thinking of moving to Charlotte and you want to know, are home prices going up? Are they going down? Are they staying firm? That's what we're gonna talk about today. Whether you're moving here from New York, California, or Florida, just to name a few of the most popular places that our buyers move from, you're going to want to know what is happening to the market here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And you're going to want to know what the best neighborhoods are to look out for, who the major players are in town, and what to avoid. So let's get going. So there's 7 main leading indicators that we're gonna go through today that will help you understand whether or not and why prices are going up, going down, or staying the same. And spoiler alert, they're but if you stick around, you're gonna see exactly why. Okay, so first on the list, I know I said it was a spoiler alert and we didn't show you what it was before, but we'll tell you now. And we just hope you stick around for the rest of the video. But home prices have held strong, even with high interest rates, when the economic factors would all tell you that high interest rates would mean low prices. Pricing has held very strong. The average sale price in Charlotte has gone up. That's right, up by 9%. The median, about 3%. So a little bit less on that side, but the average home price has gone up by almost 10%, even in a high interest rate environment. And why is that? We've got tons of videos that will talk about all the amazing things about this city. We're gonna get into all of the reasons that home prices have held very strong and very firm here in Charlotte. But big picture, why is that? Job growth, quality of life, cost of living, all of these things play into why people want to move to Charlotte and want to stay in Charlotte, which is keeping prices very firm. And what we've noticed is that, sure, we're not going crazy high in appreciation right now, but we're not depreciating. And as a city, it's very important to understand that just because we're not seeing 20, 30% growth, I mean, I don't know if we ever saw 30% growth, but we were definitely seeing 15 to 20% growth in certain parts of town back in like the craziness of COVID. Even though we're not seeing that, we are still seeing growth. We're not seeing a decline. And once we start seeing a dip or a decline in the home pricing and we start seeing the average prices actually going down in the negatives, that's when things are gonna change a little bit. But what's happening right now and why it feels weird is because we're used to going 120 miles per hour on the highway. We were just all gas, no brakes. We were going full speed ahead as fast as humanly possible, as fast as we were able to. Now, we're going 70, 80 miles per hour on the highway. We're going at the speed that you're probably supposed to be going in, depending on the state, depending on the speed limit. We're going the speed that you should be going, which is 5 to 10% growth. And so it feels weird because it feels slower than it was, which it is slower than it was, but it's not bad. It's still good. Things are still moving here. Homes are still selling. And I'm gonna get into the second point in just a second where you can see why. All right, so the second thing that we're gonna talk about today when it comes to housing prices holding strong in Charlotte is inventory levels and supply and demand. Just simple economics. Inventory in Charlotte is still hovering around 2 months. Now, for those of you that don't know how the inventory levels work and what 2 months of inventory even means, a good, healthy market is 5 or 6 months of inventory, which would mean that if no houses went on the market today, it would take 5 to 6 months to sell everything on the market. So naturally, the lower that number is, the better of a seller's market it is, and the higher that number is, the more of a buyer's market it is. Back in like 2008, 2009, it was 9, 10, 11 months of inventory because it felt like every single house was on the market. In 2021, 2022, we were down to less than a month of inventory, and what that meant was multiple offer situations, high, crazy bidding wars on homes. People were just doing, people would give up the naming rights to their first unborn child just to get a house. Like whatever it took to get a house, people were doing it. And that's what we were seeing when we had less than 1 month of inventory. Now we're at 2 months. So it's still a seller's market. There's still a lot of demand. There's still not a lot of supply, which is keeping prices where they should be, or keeping prices higher and not just dropping. So overall, big picture, inventory levels is a huge leading indicator as to supply and demand and where the market really is. at 2 months of inventory, there's still clearly a lot more demand than supply in Charlotte. Now, one other thing to keep in mind is if you look at the amount of homes that got listed in the last year or this month or this quarter, Q1, year over year, so 2024 to 2025, Q1 so far, there's 11% more homes that got listed this year versus last year. And to still have super low inventory rates means that even with high interest rates, homes are still in high demand with buyers. And so there's such high demand that it's outpacing the amount of supply, even when we have 11% more homes getting listed this year. So keep an eye on that indicator because yes, there are more homes that have gotten listed, but inventory is still very low. And sure, it's crept up a little bit, but it's still very low. So if you just see a headline that says inventory levels are higher, more homes getting listed on the MLS, well, I mean, technically both of those are accurate, but how much higher is inventory and how many more homes are on the MLS, and are they sitting or are they selling? What we've noticed is homes in desirable areas that are well priced are still selling fast, they're still selling with multiple offers, and they're still selling at or above market value compared to the homes that, maybe shouldn't have been priced that high. Those are the ones that are sitting. Those are the ones that you're seeing price reductions on. Those are the ones that you're seeing multiple months on market. And they're the ones that are increasing that inventory level in the market, whereas all these homes in desirable areas that are priced well are still flying off the market. Now, for those of you thinking about buying, which I would think most of you watching these videos are thinking about moving to Charlotte or trying to live in Charlotte, and buying a home comes with that, don't expect steep discounts just because the inventory level is a little bit higher, or because there's more homes getting listed, or just because a house has been on the market for a while. Sellers aren't always motivated to just give these crazy discounts because they've been on the market for a little while. Now, on the flip side, you probably aren't going to see the craziness of the bidding wars like we saw in 2021, where for a nice house, you're going to be up against 15, 20, 25 offers. So it's a delicate balance. You may still have multiple offer bidding situations. You may still be able to get a discount on other homes, but you're not going to see insane bidding wars, and you're not also going to see crazy steep discounts either. Go lay down. Go. Do you want to be on camera? Do you want to be on camera? All right, so the third thing that's helped keep home prices where they are or keep them stable and continuing to go up in Charlotte, honestly, is even with high interest rates, the demand actually has continued to stay very strong. So when everyone thought that 7% or 8% interest rates were going to just completely plummet everything with buyer demand, it didn't, which is kind of weird. Everyone thought that in 2024, interest rates were going to come down 1 or 2%, and they didn't. And because of that, all the market gurus and experts and everyone who gets paid to give an opinion on this stuff thought that buyer demand was going to just absolutely take a nosedive if rates didn't go down. Well, guess what? They were wrong. Buyer demand is still really strong, even though rates are at 7%. What's happening is buyers are adjusting their expectations. Maybe they're lowering their budget. Maybe they're getting pickier. I'll tell you, the biggest thing that we've noticed on our listings right now is buyers have gotten super picky. Every little thing they are going to nitpick in the home. If you're a seller and thinking about selling, take the extra step, go the extra mile just to get the home really ready for showings and ready to sell. It's worth every penny. That can make the difference between you getting one offer in the first weekend or having to wait 3 months to get an offer. So when an agent advises you to do certain things to prepare the home, listen to them. You don't want to have all kinds of crazy things going on in the home with paint or flooring issues or maybe landscaping issues. Go ahead and do the work before you list the home, and it will pay dividends. Now, shifting gears back to the buy side. With demand and how things have been impacted on demand and interest rates and all these things that all come together with the housing market, the average sale to list price currently this year is 95.4%. What does that mean? It means, sure, some sellers are having to sell below their list price, but not by much. And that's taking into account the homes that are selling at list price or above list price, and the homes that are sitting on the market for 3, 4, 5, 10 months and selling for 80, 85, 90% of list price. Now, I did say in the last point that you shouldn't expect to get steep discounts. That doesn't mean you can't. It just means that based on the seller's expectations or the seller's desire to sell the home, you may be able to get some kind of a discount. It's just, it all depends on the seller's situation. Some sellers are willing to give insane discounts just to get out of the house. Some sellers start getting desperate, and that might be the case. And a lot of them aren't. A lot of those sellers don't want to just take 50 grand off the list price just because you want them to, or because they've been on the market for so long. They'll be more than happy to continue making that mortgage payment, or maybe they own the house outright and they don't have any payments that they have to make other than utilities every single month. So just because a house has been on the market for a long time doesn't mean sellers are giving insane discounts. And again, the average sale to list percentage is about 95.4%. So again, buyers are able to get a little bit of money back from some of these sellers, but that shouldn't be the expectation. And that's where we're seeing, in order to keep demand super high, buyers are just adjusting their expectations slightly. So that way they can still get into a home, but it may not be the perfect house, or it may not be at a price that they're super comfortable with that they were 3, 4, 5 years ago. So when it comes to managing expectations for buyers, one last thing that they're starting to do is obviously adjusting the budget. Another would be temporary buy downs, and another is just sucking it up for a little bit until rates do go down so they can refinance. Because look, here's my thing. When I talk to a lot of sellers, homeowners, investors, people who aren't even in the real estate market, one of the overarching themes is if home prices are holding on strong while interest rates are staying high, when everyone thought, because of basic economics, that if interest rates go up, home prices are going to go down. If home prices are staying pretty strong when interest rates have been high, what do you think is going to happen when interest rates go down? Those home prices are going to start going like this again. Like the way I think things are happening right now is we went like this in COVID. We're kind of doing a little bit of this right now. And then as soon as rates go down, we're gonna go like that again. And so that's why a lot of buyers, in order to adjust their expectations and adjust their budgets and everything that they're doing when it comes to buying a home, maybe they're going a little lower in the budget. Maybe they're sticking to the budget and not going over, which a lot of people did a few years ago just to get a house. Or they're doing temporary rate buy downs, or they're just sucking it up. So a lot of buyers are playing in these different worlds to try and figure out what they can do in order to still secure a home that's right for them and right for their families. Now, the last piece to put a bow on all of this is if you're sitting here waiting on the sidelines for rates to go down, join the club. Everybody else is too. Everyone is sitting here waiting for rates to go down, but you have to get yourself in the game, and you can't be too scared to just get something if you can make the monthly mortgage payment make sense. That's the caveat. Sure, everyone's gonna tell you, just get in the game, just go get a house. Like, who cares? Go buy something, date the rate, marry the house. Everyone's heard that. But the big caveat that I always like to make sure our buyers are comfortable with is you've got to be cool and comfortable with the monthly payment. If you're not cool or comfortable with the monthly payment, don't stretch yourself too thin. But if you are comfortable with it, or it's maybe a little bit of a stretch and you just don't want to do it for forever, and you've kind of built in a couple years that you could deal with it, then go ahead and lock in that home. Get situated there and then refinance when rates go down, because it'll be way easier to refinance than it will be to try and buy a home against all the competition, because everyone else is sitting on the sidelines right now waiting for rates to come down so they can buy. This video is going to go into some of the things that I knew nothing about before I moved to Charlotte 11 years ago, and that you likely wouldn't know anything about either. We're also going to talk about why people love living in this city. And speaking of which, we have tons of videos on our channel talking about all of the major reasons that people love living in Charlotte, North Carolina. So be sure to check those out. Number 4, home prices. And we've talked about this before, but home prices are still growing. They're still appreciating, not at the rate that they were before, but they are still appreciating, which plays into topic number 1, which is, gotta watch your head here. Things are still appreciating, things are still growing. We're only seeing like 1 to 4% growth depending on the neighborhood, and some of them are still 10, 15% growth. But for the most part, on average, around Charlotte, big picture, we're still seeing 3 to 5 or whatever I just said the number was. We're still seeing good growth in this city, and it feels like it's slower, and that's because we're so used to the insane growth and the insane amount of activity and the insane amount of buyers and offers on every single home, and now it's stabilized a little bit. So stabilization is not a bad thing, and that's what we're in the middle of right now. We are seeing things in the market staying very stable and just leveling out a little bit. Before we continue, I'd like to give you all a warm welcome to the Living in Charlotte channel. We're here with the top relocation team in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we provide videos every week for you to understand the ins and outs of the Charlotte real estate market. So be sure to take some notes and don't be afraid to pause the video as you go. My name is Andy GRIESINGER. My team and I get calls, texts, emails, and DMs from people like you every day who are thinking about moving to Charlotte, North Carolina. And whether you're looking to move here in a week from now, a month from now, a year or 2 years from now, whatever it is, we would absolutely love to help and we would love to hear from you. Now, if this is your first time on our Living in Charlotte channel, be sure to subscribe and tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know everything there is to know about the Charlotte, North Carolina real estate market. So number 5 on our list today is new construction and how new construction homes have actually held prices pretty strong in Charlotte. What we've noticed is that in the last couple of years, we've been seeing about 5,000 homes being built that are brand new in Charlotte. And what's crazy about that number is it's actually not even meeting the demand that we have. And because of that, builders are actually withholding a lot of their inventory right now so that they can finish building the homes before taking them to market just a little too early. And what we noticed was back in pre-COVID, builders were actually putting these houses up for sale super early, giving buyers tons of options. Then they got kind of squeezed as soon as COVID happened, so they brought all their inventory close to their chest until they were done building the homes. And that's what we're starting to see a lot more of now, is builders holding a lot of the inventory close to their chest so they can price it accurately with the market conditions. They aren't trying to overprice these homes. They're not trying to underprice them, obviously, either. It's a business for these guys. But what's been really good about the market here with new construction is the builders want to move the product. They don't care about trying to make an extra $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 so that they can go get cool furniture at the new house. They are trying to sell these homes quickly for the most amount of money, but also being very reasonable and realistic with their pricing. Now, if you're thinking about buying and you're looking at new construction, what you need to think about is, what kind of builder incentives are being offered? Is there any pricing flexibility? Is there closing costs that they're willing to give? Maybe you can get a refrigerator or washer and dryer when you buy this house. Maybe they'll throw blinds in there for you. Whatever it is, a lot of these builders can get very creative because they have a little bit of margin that they can work with buyers, especially in today's market. That's been holding our pricing really strong right now and been very helpful for us to not see a huge dip, because as some of the homes that maybe aren't as good are starting to sell for a little less, the new construction homes are still selling pretty well, still selling close to their list price, and still selling for market value. I mean, look at these. These are great homes. They've got great yards. They're built by a phenomenal builder who's doing tons of new construction in Charlotte, Northway Homes, and they are pricing these homes to sell. They're pricing them so that you can come in and you can buy one of these, move in, turnkey. If you want a refrigerator in there, they'll put a refrigerator in there. If you want blinds up, ask for it and you might get it. At the end of the day, all of these builders are really helping keep pricing strong and keeping pricing firm. And we're seeing that they're not overcrowding or flooding the market with inventory that they don't need to be putting on the market. They're being very strategic, and that is also helping with the inventory levels here in Charlotte. Because of how spread out this city is, one thing that we've noticed is a lot of our buyers have heard about a specific neighborhood or maybe a specific street, and their dream home is situated right on that street. And it may not be possible to find that exact home on that street. So one of the things that our team has done, and I personally did, was I invested in one of the most high-tech artificial intelligence tools to help you narrow down exactly where we might be able to find some homes that may not be on the market yet with sellers who are willing to sell. If it ends up not being the perfect house for you, do you have to buy it? No, you don't. But it's one of the many tools that sets our team apart from everyone else in all of Charlotte, North Carolina. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hop on a Zoom call, pull up a map, and go through the specific neighborhoods and streets that are gonna fit your needs. And more importantly, we're gonna cross off all the ones that just simply won't be a fit. Okay, so point number 6, luxury versus non-luxury. How are they holding up in the market so far this year? Let's start with luxury. Anything over $1 million, we've seen a little bit higher days on market, but not much. Now, you can get a little bit more time to think about that home if you're looking at something at $1 million or $2 million or $5 million. But that being said, if it is an awesome house and it's well priced, it is going like that. It is going to fly off the market. It's going to have multiple offers just like at any other price point. But overall, these luxury homes are sitting for a little bit longer, but there's still a ton of demand. We're still seeing, and this is also why, like, I personally think a lot of the luxury homes are selling still, is because, hey buddy, a lot of those luxury homes are being purchased with cash. So even if interest rates are high, which we've talked about earlier in this video, even if interest rates are high, those luxury homeowners are still purchasing these homes with cash. So it doesn't matter what the interest rate is. So when it comes to luxury homes, you may have a little more negotiability, or is that a word? You have a little more negotiating power in these luxury price points, but at the same time, you're dealing with savvier people and you're able to put some more intricate deals together if you want. In the non-luxury price points, we're seeing a lot less negotiations happening. You're seeing quicker days on market. You're still seeing some multiple offers, especially if it's priced well or in a very desirable neighborhood. So if you're not looking at something over $1 million and you're taking out financing, you're getting a loan on a home, and you're talking about interest rates and all of these different things that are impacting the market, know that you're going to be up against a lot of competition, and know that you are going to have to make a move quickly, which we've talked about this in other videos, the importance of getting pre-approved and the importance of being prepared so that when you go to see a home, if you like it, you can pull the trigger on it confidently. This is what I'm talking about. In these price points where there's a lot of buyers in Charlotte, you need to be prepared, you need to be confident, you need to be locked and loaded, ready to go if you see a home. What we're seeing is, yeah, sure, the average days on market last year was 39 days in all of Charlotte, in the good areas, the bad areas, the hot areas, the cold areas, whatever it is, 39 days. Now it's 54 days. So average days on market has gone up. You see a headline that says days on market is going up. You have more time to think about a home. That might be true, but it might not, because if you're looking in SouthPark or South End or Union County or any of these super hot neighborhoods, you don't have 54 days to think about a home. You might have 1. You might have 2 days. Maybe you get 5 days where you can see that house that's been on the market a couple times. But in these super hot areas with well-priced homes, you don't have time to think about that. Just because you see a headline that inventory or days on market or any of these things are starting to go up a little bit, doesn't necessarily mean that you get a ton of time to think about it. So the last thing to think about is, should you buy now or should you wait? That's the question, that's the $1 million question everyone always wants to know. Should I buy now or should I wait? I like to break it up a couple different ways. What do we know right now and what do we not know? Because that's gonna play into a lot of this, because ultimately the should I buy now or should I wait is really just a crystal ball question. If I had a crystal ball, I'd be able to tell you, and honestly, if I had a crystal ball, I probably wouldn't even be selling houses. What we know right now is prices have stabilized, interest rates are higher, and there's still a ton of demand. Inventory level right now is at 2 months. And we talked about that earlier, and for a little refresher, a normal healthy market is 5 or 6 months of inventory. A buyer's market is closer to 12 or 10 months of inventory, and a seller's market is anything under that 5-month inventory mark. So sitting at 2 months of inventory, up from about a month or a couple of weeks a few years ago, means that sure, there's a little bit more inventory right now, but we're still in a very limited inventory market because the demand is outpacing the supply. And the demand is just insane in Charlotte right now. So if you're thinking about moving here, you're not alone. Now, what we don't know is what's gonna happen to interest rates and what's gonna happen to housing prices. Will interest rates go up or will they go down? We don't know. If interest rates go up, I mean, we've already proven that when they've gone up from 2.5% to 8% to 7% to whatever percentage, home prices have still held on pretty strong. If interest rates continue going up, who knows what will happen to housing prices? If interest rates go down soon, who knows what's gonna happen to housing prices? But I would be willing to bet that housing prices are probably gonna start going back up pretty quickly. Housing prices, do we think they're gonna go up or go down? A lot of that's gonna depend on the interest rates and the overall economy and consumer confidence and all of these other things that play into it, because there's so many pieces that go into if it's a good time to buy or not. But the biggest thing that I always put back on the buyer is, what are you comfortable with? Are you comfortable making that mortgage payment of $1,500 a month or $3,000 a month or $10,000 a month? Because if you are comfortable making that payment, go ahead and lock in the house that you love and then figure out the refinance later if you can. Now again, I've said it before, and realtors get a lot of crap for this, for saying date the rate and marry the house. But at the end of the day, if that mortgage payment makes sense for you and you're comfortable with that monthly payment, what are you waiting for? Don't worry about the house being $700,000 versus $650,000 a year ago, or $400,000 versus $280,000 a year ago. If you like the house and you're comfortable with that monthly mortgage payment, I don't know what you're waiting for. And ultimately, if you can afford that payment and you want to refinance in a little bit, that's what a lot of people are doing. You're not alone in trying to do that. But don't worry about the sticker price of the house. Don't worry about what the market's gonna do, because anyone who tries to time the market usually doesn't actually time the market perfectly. And for those of you that are waiting around for interest rates to go down, get in line, because everyone who's not smart enough to watch these videos where they're learning about the real estate market from one of the top agents in Charlotte, North Carolina, not to toot my own horn, but those people have no clue that there are one of millions and millions of people sitting on the sidelines waiting to buy just because they want rates to go down. If you can't get the down payment, or you're not comfortable with where the mortgage payment would be, that's understandable. There's nothing wrong with that. If you like the lifestyle, if you're renting or in the house that you're currently in, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're just simply waiting to buy a house because you want interest rates to go down, take a look in the mirror and have a real, true, honest conversation with yourself. Or maybe that would be a little weird if you just like talk to yourself in the mirror, but sit down and think about this. What are you waiting for? Is it a real life reason, or a financial reason, or a lifestyle reason, and where it makes sense and you can justify that? Or is it simply because you're just being picky? At the end of the day, even when interest rates were going up and everyone, especially all the news outlets, were saying that housing market is going down and home sales are going down and home prices are going down and all these things are going down, Charlotte has held very strong. So if and when the economy gets better and the housing market gets better per the media, good luck when housing prices start going back up, interest rates go down, and it gets way more competitive. Because if you're sitting on the sidelines, get in line. So if you're ready to explore everything that Charlotte has to offer, be sure to check out our other videos and drop a comment below if you have any questions about anything that you saw today. We're always sharing new tips about the Charlotte market, and we would love to be able to help you find your perfect home here in this amazing city. Now, if I didn't scare you off, what are you waiting for? Let's start your Charlotte adventure today.